Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another edition of Moments with MindLeaps. My name is Lamar Baylor, and I'm the artistic consultant for MindLeaps. Unfortunately, our wonderful founder, Rebecca Davis, is unable to join us today because she is traveling and her Wi-Fi may not be that steady. However, I am here and so excited to introduce our guest for today. Her name is Stephanie J. Block. Now, Stephanie J. Block is such an amazing and incredibly acclaimed artist and actress, and here she is now. J. Block is a Broadway star, Tony Award winner. She's an amazing and incredible spirit. Just a wonderful human being. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, Lamar.
Lovely surprise.
It is a surprise to see you. This makes me happy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. So I was just letting everyone know exactly who you were, those of us who do not know or who may not know.
Oh, there's many.
Well, there's many who will learn today. Yeah. So Stephanie J. Block is an amazing, phenomenal, wonderful human being, first of all. However, she is an incredibly talented, gifted, exceptional performing artist who MindLeaps has had the pleasure of meeting this past July 2021 in Rwanda. Excuse me. Rebecca isn't here today, Stephanie, because she's traveling in Guinea, West Africa, and her internet connection is not that stable, so I have come over to take over the reins today, and I'm beyond excited. So everyone, Stephanie J. Block is a Broadway star, a Tony Award winner. She is an American actor and singer. She had made her Broadway debut and originated the role of Liza Minnelli in The Boy from Oz. 2019 Tony Award winner for Best Leading Actress in a Musical. 3 Tony Award nominations in the last 6 years. Her roles of Grace O'Malley in The Pirate Queen and Liza Minnelli in The Boy from Oz, opposite of the one and only Hugh Jackman, and her portrayal as Elphaba in the Broadway company of Wicked. We are so grateful to have you during this time, and I'm sure what I've just listed is just maybe a smidge of all of the accolades and accomplishments you have endured upon your career and things that you have experienced. And let's just begin. So my first question to you is, what's different about performing on Broadway as compared to off-Broadway or other places?
Wow, that's a great question. I have found, well, I think the time commitment is one of the biggest differences. When you say yes to a brand new Broadway show, and again, this can be categorized whether it's an original show or a revival. If it's a revival and the material has been tested and true, it's not as much as an investment as when you're building something brand new. With a new piece, you say perhaps yes to a reading or a workshop. Then you say yes to going out of town. Then you say yes to regrouping and rehearsing the whole thing, and then saying yes to a year, hope it will last a year, on Broadway. So it's usually anywhere between like a year or perhaps 2 or 3 years when you're building a brand new show. When it's a revival and the material, the audiences already know and love it, you say yes, and it can be anywhere from a limited engagement, like Lincoln Center, a Roundabout, which will only be about 14 weeks, or if it's a long run or those get extended, then you're looking at about 6 months. Hey, can I ask a technical question? Is my voice bouncing back at you, or am I clear?
No, you're very clear.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then with off-Broadway's been beautiful and interesting because it seems like their focus is much more on the making of the piece. You're going to almost, like the second stage, for example, you're going to rehearse and preview way longer than you're actually doing the show. Yeah. You get maybe 3 weeks of just running your show a week, as opposed to the 2 months of rehearsal and then perhaps another 2 months of previews where you're constantly tweaking and adjusting. So it's really time commitment. I feel super privileged that I've been able to originate a lot of roles. That was kind of my goal in moving to New York City. I found that a really nice life could be made by stirring a whole bunch of different pots. You know, when you're in California or wherever you might be throughout the country or the world, you can play Nellie Forbush in South Pacific or Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls, create a lot of roles. But when it really came time for me to decide what kind of artist did I want to be? I wanted to build things from the ground up, something that there wasn't a template for, and that was happening in New York. So the risk is great, the time commitment is great,
Yeah.
but if the reward comes back at you, that too is also great.
That's amazing, Stephanie, and I couldn't agree more. You know, that the reward from all of it, from all of the seeds we plant to harvest, and watching them come about. You know, and originating roles is definitely something that I know a lot of actors and performers strive for. That's what they, you know, they want that. They want something that they can call their own and really sink their teeth into. And fortunately for you, you have had the opportunity to do that a number of times. Yeah. What's something about that people think about Broadway that's not really true? I have a few things, being a former Broadway performer in The Lion King, but I'm waiting to hear from you.
Oh, I don't want to debunk anything. I will say this. It's not as glamorous as you all may think. The work itself and when we're in that holy space on stage and sharing with audiences for 2.5 to 3 hours, that's pretty great. Like, that interaction is amazing. But the spaces, you have to understand, are over 100, most of them are over 100 years old. So the toilets are clogged in a toilet that you're sharing with 4 other actors. You know, the air conditioning has so much, I'm hoping they fix this now with the downtime, but guys, there's mold, we're talking, these are old spaces. So where you come into the theater and the lobby and you get to sit in those velvet seats, you have to understand that the backstage might be a bit of a plumbing, electrical, and air ventilation mess. I think also a lot of people assume that, you know, the cast then all goes out to Sardi's or the Glass House Tavern or wherever, Joe Allen, and we immediately dine and we toast each other and we laugh till the wee hours. No, that is not. If you are looking to do 8 shows a week, all that sort of extra, which is special and wonderful if you have the time and the energy to do so, but if you're really looking to endure and have longevity and not miss a show, at least for this actor, it's very rare that I go out after a show. It's really all about maintenance and the wear and tear of what 8 shows a week looks like. Yeah. So those are 2 things that we can debunk right away.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, honestly, 8 times a week, sometimes 9. And depending on where a holiday could land, you know, you could be performing.
Then it's 16 straight, right?
Straight, you know, like that is almost insane.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, as performers, and hats off to you, you know, because like you said, that type of sustainability, you know, that type of like longevity that you're trying to create for yourself is not easy to maintain, you know. And yeah, of course, you want to be social. You want to go and be around people and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But wow, you know, you have to get up.
I'm sure you can speak to this too. I know. So I walk out as Cher, you know, and I've got the leather jacket and I'm the 20-pound wig and I'm trying to look cool as it could be. But literally 40 minutes before, I was probably in Salampus pads and ice packs and my feet, you know, with the yoga toes. And so all of that you see when we step on stage, literally moments before, we're wrapped up like monks in physical therapy. What about Lion King? I mean, that had to be wild, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but people don't know, you know. You know, what happens in the backstage area, no one gets to see when it hits the stage. So that's right. It's the beauty of theater. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. Question, and I mean, you just recently presented at the Tony Awards, and now I know what an amazing accomplishment. My question to you is, what does Broadway look like now following COVID-19?
Okay, here's the good news, that as a community, everybody is stepping forward with such optimism and ready to do the work and ready to show up in most ways to say, we need this art form back. As much for the state of health for the performer, the state of health for the economy, the state of health for the arts and humanities. Like, we know that 18 months away from this art form has done a lot of disservice, you know, to people's health. So a lot of that work is being done, being with that collection of people and that collective mindset with 2,000 of us sitting together and celebrating the art form was beautiful. The city is still finding its balance. So if this is completely candid, the balance is not there quite yet. And this is from a woman who has lived there for nearly 20 years and knows what the ups and downs of the cities are like, right? So you might be a bit surprised by our unhoused siblings that are still on the street, because right now New York doesn't have the finance for social services to really care for those people. You might be surprised that the gathering in Times Square feels a little bit different. There are still people there, but they're not necessarily congregating to see a whole host of different shows and to go out to dinner to a whole bunch of different restaurants. They're gathering in other ways. So it kind of feels like, if any of you might know what the late 90s might feel like in New York. So you're going to see pockets of people that perhaps you have to, you know, avoid and walk a little circle around to just, I never felt unsafe, but there's a lot of hubbub and a lot of unsavory pockets in Times Square that didn't used to exist. And I think it's just, again, it's Times Square and the city finding its rhythm, its balance, its mental health, its financial health. And I almost want Broadway to not only say we're back, because we are, but we're back and we need you. We need you to come to New York and understand that you participating and you buying a ticket and you showing up and dining at these restaurants is what's going to make Broadway come back stronger, right? We can't be, if you love the arts, you can't be on the sidelines kind of cheering it on and saying, yay, yay. It might look a little different and you might have to take some extra precautions. But once you enter that holy space of any theater on Broadway, it feels more magical than I can explain to you. But you just have to kind of walk through some precarious roads to maybe get to that holy space right now, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes sense. Complete sense. And, you know, I mean, it was inevitable that it would happen, considering like those 18 months that Broadway was dark, you know, that it just was not happening. You know, things happen in those times of vacancy, you know, so those things really did happen and they are alive. But, you know, the power of the arts is what is going to turn that whole Broadway community, that whole New York Times Square area around. And it's amazing what the arts can do. And speaking of the arts, what actually attracted you to the arts?
Interesting. I started really early, so I'm going out on a huge mission to speak to my 7-year-old. I have seen, I think, a bit of a sweet second shot from type thing. Full transparency. Mother put stock in the book, and my sister defined the one and talented one. So I found real quick and full heart and soul.
Stephanie, you're going in and out just a little bit.
Tell me if anything's better.
You're better? Already better. Yes, okay, so great.
So with my mom kind of defining my sister as the beautiful one and me the talented one, I found my category, my label, and I jumped in. I started to sing at church and talent shows, and if people started to give me attention, I became a bit of a junkie, you know? I was like, hey, people see me, people are paying attention. And then I must admit, I wore my talent to cover my own little self and become something different until I learned that I needed to use those gifts to truly me be seen, not the pretend me or the one that's being, you know, hidden in some suit of some other character. So I think that's really what it was. It was about this little spirit with this big voice wanting to just be seen. And then it's within, oh God, now we're looking at 40 years that I've actually been in it, because I started to dabble and make a paycheck, be in the union when I was 12. So I know. So we're going on almost 4 decades of doing that. So it's a real relationship, and I wear like sort of the longevity. And you used the word endure when you were introducing it. I was like, that's right. It's endurance, you know, to be in it that long and to wear it as a badge of honor for those many years. It's all about.
Yeah, that is so true. It's so, so true. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and I'm sure I will, as well as many of people who are watching this and people who will, are glad that you did find the arts, because, you know, it has given us a chance to see you and experience you and all of your gifts that you really do possess, and that were given to you to share, you know, and that is incredible. What role do you see the arts playing as our world gets increasingly complicated and divided?
Well, here's the deal. I believe if you are a participant or a spectator or a lover of art, you have empathy within you. And empathy is people to sit at the table and start to meet one another in each other. Start the dialogue, then all of that person longer an other, longer a foreign, longer that's so different. So I see it as, and I see it as, I at least way, if there is one person that's like, I do not like you, I've never met a person that said that in their whole, you may have a different genre that you like, but music is the fire. And if you start with something that unifies us, that means a conversation can start, and that start seeing each other in. So I think huge healing. I really. Plus, you know, when you're sitting in a theater with people, you don't know what the political beliefs are of the person next to you, or the beliefs, or gender proclivities, or whatever that person is. You know them as a lover of the earth. So right there, that's something. You know that you're breathing, you know, in the same way that breathing, you're applauding what's in front of you. So there are a lot of things that you can practice yourself and that person. I think we're a lot more the same.
Yeah, good point. Good, very, very great points, actually. I mean, that is, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter what the other person is, you know, like you all are both there for the same reason. And
that's right.
To appreciate the arts and to appreciate the talent and to recognize it when it's before you and understand on how it's impacting you at that moment in time.
That's
you know,
right.
And people go to the theater for many different reasons. You know, they want to be entertained, they want to be touched, they want to be moved, you know, they want to feel. And the arts does that without bias, without any type of pushback or hesitancy. That's what the arts does. It's a place for sharing. It's a place for community, and for community just not on stage, but also for the audience people as well.
And you know what? I gotta say, there's also a really great civility. So you're like, I don't understand. If in the theater we can follow the rules, right, of the voice that says, please don't do this, please don't do this, respect your neighbor that's literally sitting 3 inches from you, please share the restroom, please. If we can follow all those rules within 4 walls of a theater, can't we do that in the world? Can't we do that in our cities? And
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You would think that, yes, you know, like that's what it is. Or it could be that easy. And honestly, it could be that simple. It really could be that simple, but
I know
for various reasons, people choose, and they have their right to, and, you know, we have to deal with it as it comes. But, you know, let's kind of change the pace a little bit.
Please.
But also adding to it, you know, when we speak about community and we speak about, you know, being there without bias and, you know, people loving on each other, we both know about Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and Broadway Cares is an incredible part of MindLeaps. They have donated over probably $60,000 for years to the children of MindLeaps. And where we met in Rwanda, one of my favorite places in the entire world, and it has really, really helped our organization, like completely changed it. And I am so grateful for them, for Broadway Cares. And, you know, Broadway Cares helps everybody, so it seems, everyone in every place in the world almost, and specifically our country, from food banks to social services to shelters and everything, their mission is in alignment with the one from MindLeaps. And I know that you have had an incredible career. What has happened along your journey to connect you to Rwanda specifically?
Well, here's the deal. I must admit, I was so ignorant, so ignorant, okay? I had great benefits of traveling because of my voice and with the profession that I am so lucky to be in. But I will say this. I was performing in the island of Cyprus, which is, it's kind of shared by both Greece and Turkey. Mm-hmm. And we then took a cruise to Israel, Egypt. And I'm proving this point because you got to see. The boat comes into Egypt and they said, "Welcome to Africa." And I was like, Africa? I am on the wrong ship. I'm supposed to be going to Israel. And I had no idea Egypt was even in Africa. So I had a lot of learning to do in my 20s. I have a dear friend named Minnelli, and she married an incredible man named Michael Fairbanks, who has had deep ties to Rwanda. He's been going there for the 70s. He has found himself in different ministries of finance, infrastructure, working alongside the president, President Paul Kagame. So I got an invitation from them, and this was about 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I were so excited to travel the continent, learn more about Rwanda, trek with the gorillas, do the whole, the whole pack. And I got pregnant, and so I was unable to go. Mm-hmm. So then the invitation came around again, and now during COVID, my husband and I were both a little bit apprehensive of getting on a plane, traveling on together. But something in our guts, there was just a whisper that kept going. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. It's going to change. It's going to heal you. Go, go, go. So we went. Now, Minnelli Fairbanks, who again invited us, had also invited me to start a podcast called Stages Podcast. And yes, its core is looking through life, stages of your life through an artistic lens. Mm-hmm. And she had said, on a whim, I found this incredible organization called MindLeaps. I'm reaching out to them kind of like a cold call to see if they might meet with us while we're in Rwanda, and we can talk about their efforts about bringing children that are or were in conflict, that are in vulnerable communities, mm-hmm. and the way that they are funneling their artistic knowledge, humanity, their kids, these kids, and learning how they did, then lead over into the general education, reading, writing, arithmetic, service their country. So going to Rwanda, I admit, my expectations were high, but it all seemed kind of in myth or in legend. Like I couldn't really put a true understanding of how beautiful this country is, and the people, and their ability to forgive, and their ability to move forward, their ability to take pride in and their people and their heritage. It's unbelievable. Those of you that are watching, of course, there was a genocide before between the Hutus and the Tutsis. 1 million people were killed in 3 months. So that's 11 days. And this was done by machete. It was quite graphic. But 27 years later, I can explain to you how they work together to find beauty and forgiveness. I think there was a lot to I admit it. I'm still processing the trip. There was so much to it, and there was so much beauty, so many tears. I was trying to reconcile how to make sense of it all, how to put an American on it, which was, they kept saying, please don't. The way you walk through the world and look at the world is so different than we do. And I've now learned so much from their understanding and their culture. Woo, a gift, a huge gift. How many times have you been to one?
Five times. Yeah.
You still learn something great every.
I really do, and I'm grateful for it. And that, which leads me to my next question is, what have you learned, though, from Rwanda?
Well, I might have, but here's the deal. There's no such broad stroke humanity. It's all about individual, all about nuances, knowing the detail of each, whether you find them or a foe. There is a story, there is tragedy and triumph, there is joy, there are choices, but these sort of broad, huge statements toward a group or, like I said, method or an idea, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Rwanda is of that.
Yeah, you hit that one right on the nose, and I do want to say thank you so much, Mary Lee, for introducing Stephanie to J Block, and and yourself and the Stages podcast to MindLeaps. It was an amazing time that we shared at that hotel, and a great day of interviewing and just community and fellowship and truth and experiences that we all shared. It was really a highlight of the trip, and it was just wonderful to meet both you and your daughter and your husband, and for you all to come to the center and see the kids dance and watch them kind of like in practice. It was a really, really great highlight to the trip, and we are so grateful that you were there.
I am grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. So MindLeaps creates paths towards education and the possibility through the arts in places like Rwanda and other African countries. And you're doing that now through the Stages podcast with Mary Lee Fairbanks. What are some of the things that you've learned through the podcast?
Well, I've learned people is everything, right? So, well, we're still in, but I just not, we're built to connect. We are meant to approve one another. I think there is no growing or in your art unless you constantly meet new people, hear their story, and that's the way. In storytelling from the beginning, a fire until now, which a lot of people waited and hearing storytelling and watching dance. It's really kind of all things. For us, I like to be. Well, I think one of the things really touches your vulnerability. I can tell you if someone say, "Hey, we're going to walk and watch you learn," not a performance, not something to perfect, but watch, learn, show perhaps you're not strong. The opening yourself to judgment, but it was all love there. Beauty of it, watching them with the foil or the section, and thank God, because that's the only way in the world. But it was so, and then I don't know if this happened in class. They said, okay, you guys dance. You want to dance? Groups of 2 or 3 would come. Something that they had, or something that they just felt moved to share, and that they was incredible. And when you do it in their way that they're familiar, even after introducing new methods or new, say, okay, now do it the way you feel comfortable, the way it flows, right? And that's the podcast. It's like you can come to the table with questions have for them. If unleashed about your child, tell me how people learned in whatever the course has. Once you allow people express their personal private work. It takes something, and it's so that's what I'm learning.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's incredible. And I hope that we all get to learn that. And, you know, it really does impact us. And, you know, to give people that type of agency to be themselves and express themselves freely without judgment, without type of disdain or anything, you know, people can really become themselves and find themselves through those abilities. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I hope we all get to learn that through your podcast and while we continue to listen. And I think, you know, as we have to wrap up everybody with the wonderful and magnificent and beyond talented Stephanie J. Block, are there any final words though that you want to leave to the next generation and also to the next generation, even like including your daughter?
Oh. Well, the first thing I think that's coming to just, you know, kind of honest to God. If you can, right? We got to.
You're breaking up just a little bit. I'm sorry. There you go.
If I come,
there you go.
Okay. That I think the thing that came to the forefront of my mind and the kind, not only to others, but got to start with you. You really, that allows you. You have to embrace blessing that it is to just freaking be alive. It's the dissecting the way you look, what you need to do, where you need to show up. It's too that way. I'm all for, like, I'm a fan of messy. Can't have messiness, grace, and for kindness. And once you support yourself, then it's going to be here to allow flow into others. I think that's what I have right now on a Friday.
You know what? That's perfect. And we will close out with that, is being kind. And you have been kind with your art, with your talent, with your voice, with your love for people and humanity, and also with the kindness that you've shown to our students at MindLeaps. You will forever be in their hearts. You'll forever be in ours for showing up. And for that is beautiful enough. We truly support and love you. We do. And even in that brief meeting, you know, that was enough to impact all of us and change our outlook on the world and add to it as well. And we can't thank you enough for bringing your family along. We can't thank Mary Lee Fairbanks enough and the Stages podcast for giving us a platform to stand on and also to just share with those who do know the organization and those who do not. And I want to let you know that you have an open invitation to Rwanda or any other country that MindLeaps works in at any time. And we appreciate you. And for that, we will say so long and farewell.
So long. Follow MindLeaps and go to Rwanda. I will use my voice to amplify it because it's extraordinary.
Thank you so, so much, Stephanie. Have a great weekend. Please give your family my love and also Mary Lee as well. Bye-bye.
Bye. Marakose.
Marakose Chane.